Hello and welcome to News Central Television. My name is Mazino Appeal. Now the top stories this hour. National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives suspends 7-day nationwide warning strike. And NFSS urges FG to prioritize forests in security strategy. Also coming up, Senegal beefs up security near Mali border. Details coming up now. Now we begin by telling you that the National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives has suspended its 7-day nationwide warning strike. The decision to call off the strike followed a virtual emergency meeting of the National Executive Council on Saturday, during which the association reviewed recent engagements with the federal government. The industrial action was initiated to press for the implementation of key demands, including upward review of shifts and uniform allowances, introduction of a separate salary structure for nurses, increase in core duty allowance, mass recruitment of nursing personnel, and the creation of a dedicated nursing department within the Federal Ministry of Health. In Edo Central, a region long plagued by deteriorating infrastructure, hope is stirring once again. Now, Governor Monday Okpolo recently embarked on a first-hand inspection of the failed road networks that have made life unbearable for many. News Central's Amanze Batwaye reports from Edo State.
It's not every day you see a governor ride through these rough and flooded roads that slow a convoy to a painful crawl. This is a glimpse into the daily reality of commuters in Uromi and its environs. They face the same terrain in battered minibuses or jacked-up trucks, risking both lives and livelihoods. Governor Monday Okpolo walked the roads himself, inspecting what should link Edo State to neighboring states like Delta and Anambra, but have now become death traps. Every journey is a risk, every rainfall a disaster. In Uromi, heavy flooding just weeks ago claimed the life of a little girl, an incident the governor directly linked to the collapsing infrastructure.
This is the only thing I inherited from Obaseki and the PDP government. I have no option than to fix this road now. It's a major road. It's a road that links so many states, eastern part of Nigeria and the northern part of Nigeria.
As he stood beside the dilapidated streets, the governor promised action. Contractors were on site, palliative repairs were approved in order to restore access and safety, particularly on New Agbo Road, the artery linking the state to the east. For residents of Uromi, which has a population nearing 150,000, this is more than an inconvenience. It is a barrier to education, commerce, and even access to health care. The difference today, Okpolo says the state is no longer turning a blind eye. He has ordered emergency patching and stronger planning around flood-prone areas near New Agbo and Ilushin roads.
The new hope of Mr. President, when we met him last week, he told us that we should go after all the federal bad road. Every state governor should do it same. So I felt that since this is a critical road, that we should fix it.
Meanwhile, Okpolo also inspected the 400 hectares Uwesan farm settlement for maize and cassava cultivation as part of his administration's Back to Farm initiative to boost food sufficiency. In Edo, for News Central, Amanze Batwaye.
Let's turn our attention to political stories now. Pro-democracy experts have tasked political parties in Nigeria to embrace inclusivity and adhere strictly to internal democratic principles. They say this will help build public trust and strengthen the nation's democracy. The call was made in Abuja during the launch of the Westminster Foundation for Democracy's Political Party Performance Index. Our correspondent Joshua Mari has the details in this report.
The new report raises concerns over the widening gap between the promises Nigeria's political parties make on paper and the reality of their internal operations, particularly around inclusion and democratic practices. The Political Party Performance Index, launched by the Westminster Foundation for Democracy, reveals that while many parties present progressive policies in official documents, their day-to-day practices often fail to reflect these ideals.
You will agree with me that inclusivity is very core. We are still struggling with the fact that there's huge voter apathy. We're struggling with the fact that the percentage representation of women is the lowest in Nigeria, both in the sub-region and even globally. We're struggling with the fact that young people are not being engaged in the process.
Some stakeholders blame this disconnect on political indiscipline and the absence of clear ideological foundations within the party.
One of our major problems in the political sector in our country today is lack of political discipline, lack of political ideology, and lack of vision generally.
They say that the newly adopted constitution for the Inter-Party Advisory Council, the umbrella body for registered political parties in Nigeria, could help enforce stricter adherence to party constitution and internal democracy.
So this framework is to ensure that they comply with their own internal constitution, to enforce it on them, that you have to. If you don't do that, you continue to witness crisis, and they will lose credibility in the eyes of the public. And there's no way they can organize credible election without following their own party rules and regulations.
We have been able to put something together. For the first time in the history of IPAC, political parties with our different interests, have been able to come together under the umbrella of IPAC to put a constitution together, which is a binding document. We never had, all we have is. So we will ensure that what is in the constitution, agreeable to all of us, will begin to be replicable in individual political parties.
Many here insist that embedding true inclusivity within party structures will not only enhance internal accountability, but also help restore public trust in Nigeria's political system. In Abuja, for News Central, I am Joshua Marai.
Now, Joshua Marai joins us now to speak more on this. Joshua, good afternoon. Thank you for joining again. We only just had you on Breakfast Extra. It's good to see you here for the 12 o'clock bulletin. But Joshua, can you brief us, tell us about the key points discussed at the launch of the Political Party Performance Index by the Westminster Foundation for Democracy?
Well, the Westminster is one of the popular experts in propagating the ideals of democracy in Nigeria. And what they are saying is that, according to their Political Party Performance Index, the report they release annually, that beyond what political parties have promised on paper, there seems to be a widening gap between the promises and those promises being fulfilled practically. That particularly in their internal operations, there seems to be a widening gap between their promises of vision and internal democracy, that they go against this idea the one side and the ones accepted into their party manifesto and constitution. So they are raising concerns that this is actually hampering trust in political parties in Nigeria, and this needs to be attended to as soon as possible.
What specific challenges do pro-democracy experts believe Nigerian political parties are facing when it comes to inclusivity and internal democracy?
One particular challenge they've highlighted is the area of funding. We know that previously, before now, particularly just in moments from independence in Nigeria, most of these political parties are being funded for personal pockets. When I mean personal pocket, most of the donations come from individuals, normally individuals, party peoples across. But now, we are now seeing a trend where politicians particularly are now the sole financier of these political parties. And most times, he who pays the piper dictates the tune. So most times these political parties are tilting to the directions of these big wigs who sponsor the party, and most times they seem to go against the principles of internal democracy as they once promised within this political party. So this is one of the major problems, and also the part of inclusion. Marginalized groups like youth, people with disabilities, and women, they complain that these persons are always sidelined from these parties, and it is not healthy for democracy. That most times those who are the money bags per se are the ones who make decisions, and most times these decisions don't favor those marginalized group of persons. So this is one of the major challenges that they are facing in Nigeria.
So how do the experts suggest political parties can improve internal democratic principles?
They are saying that these political parties have to abide by their internal constitution. Of course, there are constitution governing political parties in Nigeria, and of course, they are expected to go in line with the tenets of those constitutions. But what we are seeing currently in Nigeria is that most times when the ones who vote for a candidate, or perhaps there's a convention to produce a candidate that will be the flag bearer of the party, we are seeing a hijack of the entire process, where sometimes some candidates come out unchallenged and unopposed. So these are the trends they are raising concerns that the moment parties begin to go back to the old ways of financing political parties, then we have a leeway into the democracy that we all truly preach.
Joshua, what about funding? What about when it comes to elections and the funding? In your report, were there any concerns raised about the current state of political party funding and how it affects inclusivity?
Well, there's concern saying that one of the major problems of political parties is that they lack political discipline. On the issue of political discipline, you see people jumping from one party to the other because they have the money to guarantee their entry in this party. So these are the reasons that they are saying that once the finances of these political parties are checked, it will need this particular action in the board because, of course, there are guidelines, there are sell-throughs, there are benchmarks that one could spend a particular amount of money in a political party, and beyond that, such political parties is supposed to be penalized. But that is not the case because we are seeing that some party campaigns, the funds for their campaign run into billions of naira, and this particularly oppose the guidelines of INEC when it comes to funding political parties. They are saying that if INEC can check this person, check their finances, and truly met out punishment for those who are erring in the sight of the rules set by INEC, then there will be a positive feedback from political parties. And Nigerians particularly will begin to trust these political parties that, of course, they are really doing the things of Nigerians and the locals particularly.
So let's test your preference now, Joshua. Based on your interactions at the event, do you think, and truly so, do you think that Nigerian political parties are willing to make these changes? Or is there a bit of resistance to embracing these internal democracy and inclusivity that we speak about?
Well, we have to read in between the lines and the handwritings of the word, particularly as that particular presentation of the political party performance index. Few political parties grace that occasion. And of course, you know that IPAC is the umbrella body of the entire political parties in Nigeria. So IPAC is supposed to have a hand of discipline on all political parties. But some political parties seem to be bigger than IPAC because at that particular place, some political parties, I don't want to mention their name, we're not there. And if you're not there, it's true that you don't buy into that idea that you can do according to what you want to do or based on satisfying your whims and caprices. So I don't think that Nigerian political parties are ready because, of course, there seems to be a high tendency of Nigerian political parties doing the winner takes all, and that has to do with those who have the means. What I mean, the means, the bag of money to spend in campaigning and in the process of electioneering. So I don't think Nigerian political parties are ready to toe this line.
The money bags. Joshua, thank you very much for bringing us the detail from the forum. Thank you indeed. Still talking politics. Some major political parties in river states may not take part in the forthcoming local government elections scheduled for the 30th of August. It was gathered that the newly formed coalition, the African Democratic Congress, the Emeka Bekele-led All Progressives Congress, and the All People's Party were not yet prepared for the elections. The State Publicity Secretary of ADC, Egila Luckyman, said the party had not yet decided on participation. It was also learned that the Rivers APC was in dire straits following the internal crisis rocking the party and the ongoing legal tussle between the Emeka Bekele's camp and the faction led by Tony Okocha. And stakeholders have urged civil society organizations in Nigeria that they've been tasked to move beyond surface-level activism and engage more deeply with facts and institutional realities. Now, this was during the maiden edition of the Civil Society Summit on civil democracy and national development, which held in the nation's capital, Abuja. Speakers at the event urged civic actors to remain steadfast in defending democratic values and driving national development.
Let history record that in the year 2025, at a moment when Nigeria trembled in the balance, men and women of conscience gathered in Abuja and chose to stand, not alone, but together.
The responsibility of the civil society under a democratic era is more complex than our own. Because during our time, those in the position of authority are occupying the seat illegally, so they have no recognition anywhere.
The civil society, under democratic governance, as bridge builders. And the question arises, and I will be provocative. Are we building the bridges, or are we attacking those bridges and destroying them?
Now let's go on a short break. When we return, Serap gives Niger State Governor Bago 48 hours to reopen Badegi FM. We've got the details. You just have to join us soon. Welcome back. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has given Niger State Governor Umar Bago 48 hours to reverse what it calls the arbitrary and unlawful shutdown of Badegi FM 90.1, a private radio station in Minna, the state capital. Now, in a letter dated August 2nd and signed by Deputy Director Kolawole Uluwadare, SERAP is also calling on the governor to stop threats to demolish the station's building and to cease alleged profiling of its owner, Shuaibu Badegi. Governor Bago reportedly directed state security agencies to seal the station, revoke its license, and demolish its facility, accusing Badegi FM of airing content that incites the public against the government. SERAP argues that the clampdown breaches Nigeria's constitution and international treaties, including Article 19 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, which guarantees freedom of expression. In the meantime, the Nigerian Bar Association has strongly condemned the recent closure of Badegi Radio in Minna, following an order from Governor Umar Bago of Niger State. In a statement signed by NBA President Afam Osigwe, the association stated that Governor Bago lacks the legal or constitutional authority to revoke broadcast licenses or shut down media outlets. The NBA called Bago's actions a dangerous assault on press freedom and democratic governance, stressing that such decisions have no regulatory or judicial backing. The NBA reaffirmed that the National Broadcasting Commission, the NBC, is the only body legally empowered to regulate broadcasting, including suspending or revoking licenses through a due process. The association also pointed to Sections 39 of the Nigerian Constitution, which guarantees freedom of expression, including the right to operate and access media. The NBA called on all levels of government to uphold the rule of law, respect constitutional boundaries, and protect press freedom, especially in the run-up to the 2027 elections. Now let's turn our attention to security matters. The Nigeria Forest Security Service is calling on the federal government to recognize forest security as a critical pillar in the nation's overall security framework. Speaking in Jos during a zonal training exercise for NFSS personnel, the Deputy Commander General in charge of intelligence, Dr. John Machie, said forests remain some of Nigeria's most vulnerable and ungoverned spaces, yet are often overlooked in national security planning. Dr. Machie noted that the NFSS was created to fill this critical gap, gathering intelligence from within forests, monitoring movement, and working with other security agencies to combat crimes such as banditry, illegal mining, arms trafficking, and cross-border criminal activity. Dr. Machie also commended President Bola Tinubu for his leadership and appealed for urgent presidential assent to the Forest Security Bill, which he says will provide full legal recognition and legislative backing to the NFSS. The NFSS insists that addressing insecurity must extend beyond cities and highways and into the forests that have long operated as blind spots in the fight against crime. The commandant of the Nigerian Defense Academy, Major General Abdul Ibrahim, says he is optimistic that the ongoing Camp Highland exercise in Plateau State will better prepare military cadets for Nigeria's complex security environment. News Central's Chizoba Anyanwe reports from Sherry Hills.
Here at the Sherry Hills Training Institute in Plateau State are over 400 cadets of the 72 regular course and short service course 48 of the Nigerian Army, part of a larger contingent of 800 cadets from the Army, Navy, and Air Force set to graduate from the Nigerian Defense Academy this September. These cadets have journeyed from the NDA headquarters in Kaduna State to undergo the final stage of their military preparation, the adventure phase of the Camp Highland exercise here in Plateau State.
The training here and even what we have given them in the academy improves their stamina, their endurance, their resilience, their ability to confront challenges and overcome them. And those are some of the things you saw here, the obstacle. You know, they have different scenarios here, both on land and in the water. And these are the kind of challenges that they will face when they are commissioned pretty soon. And I know with this training, they will come out tops.
We are now better prepared as cadets to tackle challenges once we are being commissioned as officers in the Nigerian Army.
We've undergone several activities like the water crossing, the obstacle crossing, the parachute jumping, and then the abseiling and rappelling.
The final exercise, which is the Camp Highland, is meant to wrap up everything we've learned and then our ability to be able to put it into practice.
Sooner than later, when this training exercise is over and done with, the Nigerian Army says it will help in combating insurgency in many parts of Nigeria. In Plateau State, for News Central, Chizoba Anyanwe.
Chizoba Anyanwe joins us now. She covered the Camp Highland exercise in Plateau State. Chizoba, good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining. Can you describe the focus and structure of this year's Camp Highland exercise?
Good afternoon, Mazino, and thanks for having me. Just like you saw in that report, it's an exercise. It's just like a yearly tradition where these cadets are brought to the field, so to speak, where they are meant to go through all the processes and all the trainings they've been receiving while in school. That is the Nigerian Defense Academy, where you have to go through, of course, book work and all that. And then I think this is the right time for them to go to the field and feel how it will be for them when they finally get on the war front to combat insurgency. And so, like the commandant of the NDS said, Major General Abdul Ibrahim, while we interviewed him yesterday, he was saying that this is a major thing that will wrap up their practicals, and it's called the adventure phase, where they are meant to face different forms of obstacles. You saw them during the drills, crossing in the water, also having to jump using the parachute and all those. So this is some of the simulations they have to go through as they get ready for the task ahead. From what they have said, September, that is next month, they'll be graduating from the Defense Academy. And so if they don't have a feel of what this would look like when they get to the battlefield, I mean, they may not be able to face the challenge and be able to combat what they are there to combat. And so this is a major practical for them. And it was said that it's also the last outdoor practical for them. And so they have to face it and own it so that once they are commissioned in a few weeks to come, I mean, the sky will be their starting point.
Well, great drills there, abseiling, rappelling, and all of that. But are the cadets being trained to, well, help with threats like insurgency and banditry and urban warfare, the real deal?
Okay, so just like I said, and the commandant also mentioned, they've been in the classroom all this while and probably having to do one or two drills while in Kaduna State. But here in Sherry Hills and Plateau State, I mean, that's where they have the climate, the simulation of what they need to have and to go through to feel. You know, there's a difference that you're just in the classroom and in principle, they tell you, you do this, you do that. When you see this, you do that, you know, all those. So it's different coming to the battlefield or to the field now to see those things, cross those battles, the obstacles and all those, have a feel of what it looks like so that going there to face your enemies won't be like a big deal anymore. So from the interviews we had with them yesterday, I mean, the morale was actually high, and I liked the spirit I saw in them because they all said they were ready to go out to the field. In fact, they can't even wait for the September to come for them to be commissioned. In fact, one of the morale songs they were chanting was September, where you dey, oh, September, where you dey. So the spirit is actually high, and they can't wait to go into the field to do what they have been learning all these 4 or 5 years in the academy. So I think with this and with what I saw on the ground yesterday, they are ready to face whatever may come.
Yeah, we did hear them make those chants. But what about weapons training? Are they getting any of these at Cherry Hills?
Yeah, sure. It was also part of what they were trained to do, and also the practical, because you can't be on the field and going through all these without your ammunition or your rifle and all those. So even while they cross those obstacles, if you saw very well, you still see them hang their rifles and all those. In fact, all the obstacles they had to cross, jumping the back parachute and all those, even crossing on the water, you saw them, everyone had to hang their rifle because, I mean, what if you're at the midst of the whole thing and then an enemy surfaces, you know, what do you do? So training on weapon handling, I mean, was a major part of it, which, according to what I heard off camera, had been going on even while they were in school, in the academy.
Okay,
and
good.
So going to the battlefield, they're going to stay like 5 days there to make sure that they are able to touch on every aspect they need to before graduation.
Grand. So were there any collaborations or involvement from other branches of the military or maybe even international observers?
Okay, well, for international observers, I didn't see any. I think this is just about them, about their local community, I mean, in Nigeria. Probably as time goes on, I wouldn't know, I'm not in the military, so I think that with time, they would have to be exposed to all those. Well, integration with other sister security agencies like the Navy and the Air Force. We're also told that others, their mates, our colleagues, are in different places, like the Air Force cadets are currently too having their own similar training in Kaduna State, while the Navy cadets are in Port Harcourt, also having the same exercise going on, because at the end of the day, they will all still come back together for their graduation in September. So I think they've been deployed to the areas that need their expertise, where they will receive this training, and then at the end of the day, come back together while they wrap up and wait for graduation in September.
Well, Chizoba, all I can say is September, where you day. Thank you very much, Chizoba, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Now let's go on a break. We've got more coming your way. To stay with us. Welcome back. Now, residents of several communities in Borno State have showered praise on the Nigerian Army for providing free medical care to hundreds of civilians during a special outreach program aimed at bridging trust and fostering peace in conflict-prone regions. The medical outreach, which included free consultations, treatments, and also distribution of drugs, was carried out by the Nigerian Army under the framework of the Civil-Military Cooperation Strategy. News Central's Umaru Kirawa here completes the report.
A strategic shift from the usual military action of gunpower in countering insurgency to integrated humanitarian engagement, a move that may help secure more enduring peace in the Northeast. Women, children, and the elderly are here to access free medical checkups, dental care, eye treatment, prescription, and supply of drugs where necessary.
Can see my teeth is shining because I went through the dentist. They clean the teeth with they use a machine, so I don't know the name of the machine. And we have a toothpaste here with me. Then later we moved to general checkup. That is where I did a little complaint and I got a lot of drugs. So I'm very happy for what is it called? Medical free checkup outreach. So I'm very thankful for the Nigerian Army.
I was really excited, and I hope the government will look towards the relationship between the civilian and the military people, because we are having a good relationship with them.
The Army officials stated that the outreach is part of ongoing efforts to strengthen community resilience in the face of lingering insecurity.
These people here, they are our partners. Even though we are here to protect them, we also work with them, because without them, we won't be here. And we reckon that a healthy mind is a healthy body. Health is wealth, and it is only when they are healthy that we can actually work together. So that is why the Chief of Defense Staff has directed these CIMIC projects, especially for Buluri community.
With continued community engagement, broader peace building and stabilization goals are said to be achieved as a crucial pillar in long-term conflict resolution and trust. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
Now, Umaru Kirawa joins me for more on this. Umaru, good afternoon. Thank you for joining. We'd like to know, what was the general mood among residents during the medical outreach? How did they respond to the Nigerian Army's presence in their community?
It was a right peg in the right hole. It's a development that people are happy about it. I mean, some people cannot access healthcare services due to financial constraints and so on and so forth. And the Nigerian military, despite its continued engagement in the front line, ensuring that peace and stability is maintained, has brought these services to their doorsteps, from general medical checkup to free medication, free testing, including dental care, and so on and so forth. So it's a good omen. It's a welcome development as far as the people of the community are concerned. And most importantly, this is not the first time that the Nigerian military is providing such type of services to the people of various communities, not only in Borno, but across the country. It's like the representative of the Nigerian Army said, it's part of their responsibility to ensure that the safety and security of the citizenry is ensured. And in doing so, they have a civil-military initiative which seeks to also strengthen ties and then build resilience of the community, and then ensure that the level of trust is maintained between the military and the community in its continued fight against insecurity, insurgency, banditry, and terrorism across different parts of Nigeria. This is clearly spelled out in the book recently published by the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Gwabing Musa, in his book, taking a stance against insurgency, insecurity, terrorism, and banditry in Nigeria, he clearly highlighted how important the communities across different parts of the country are important in the fight against insurgency and insecurity. In fact, chapter 6 of the book, titled The Power of the Community, also highlighted how community members can help in the quest to maintain peace and security and stability in the region. And you know, Borno is recovering from the years of insurgency. So this type of initiative will really help in ensuring that resilience is built, confidence is built, and trust is built among the people, between them and the military.
So, Kira, we saw the very excited lady there who must have gotten some care from a dentist. Apparently was free. But what other kind of medical services were provided? And tell us about the demographics of the people who benefited from these as well.
Well, the clip speaks for itself. Kudos to my camera operator for giving us the different shots. Both the young and old, men and women, rich and the poor, got free medical services from the Nigerian military, ranging from the dental care, eye care, and tests, and then medication. In fact, there are instances whereby if the cases are beyond the frontline health officers there on ground, they refer them to military medical health facilities, whereby adequate health care will be given to the patients. As such, it's an excellent initiative that will strengthen ties between the community and, of course, the Nigerian military. If you remember, recently we did a story with regard to a woman that the Nigerian military rammed on 10 months ago, and there were serious issues, there were promises, unfulfilled promises, and so on and so forth. But after our report, the Nigerian military took ₦1 million to the family. This type of initiative are initiatives that will strengthen the ties between the communities and the Nigerian military. It will bond the sense of love, the sense of compassion between the military and the community. Then, in the peak of the insurgency, when people in Borno or in Yobe or in Adamawa see men in uniform, they are even scared of them. They are even running away from them then. But the situation is gradually changing. The narrative is changing. This is because of these deliberate efforts that the Nigerian military is putting the persuasive means, which they call as non-kinetic, which many people might not comprehend. It's persuasive means that they are using to engage the communities, feel the sense of pain of the communities, and of course provide relief and a source of compassion to the people towards ensuring a sense of belonging, a sense of brotherhood, and development.
Now, Kirawa, beyond the immediate medical assistance, did the army also engage in any type of dialogue with the community, something that would suggest a longer-term commitment to peace building and also make the people more comfortable with the army?
Well, the medical checkup and, of course, the engagement, both natural, it will lead to sense of dialogue. When patients come, the sense of conversation they have with the officers there, I mean, it's open discussion that they have beyond the normal, I have malaria, I have typhoid, I have fever, and so on and so forth. They have some little time to discuss. And some of the community members are praising the military men for doing an excellent job for ensuring that peace is maintained. Though there are gray areas here and there are challenges, but it's the hope and prayers of all that this madness, this insecurity, this terrorism will one day be history, and it will be in the history books, so that people of younger generations or people that are not yet born will read and go through the pages, flipping through how Nigerian military and, of course, the communities have helped in ensuring that peace is maintained for everyone to enjoy.
Kirawa, speaking about books, the book you mentioned from earlier, I'm sure it must be a very interesting read. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, Senegal is stepping up its security presence in the eastern part of the country following a wave of jihadist violence just across the border in Mali. The National The National Gendarmerie announced the establishment of new units in Tambacounda, in also Kédougou and Saraya regions bordering Mali and known for security vulnerabilities. The announcement comes weeks after a series of jihadist attacks in western Mali, including an assault on the town of Diboli, less than 500 kilometers from Kidira, a border town on the Senegalese side. The attacks were claimed by the Group for the Support of Islam and Muslims, or JNIM by its Arabic initials, a jihadist coalition affiliated with al-Qaeda. Analysts warn the group may be seeking to expand its operations into Senegal, prompting urgent preventive measures by the country's security forces. To Central Africa now, the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda have reached a preliminary economic cooperation framework during their first high-level talks since signing a U.S.-backed peace agreement in June. According to the U.S. State Department, the accord aims to boost transparency in the supply chains of critical minerals like coltan and lithium, with the framework expected to be effective by the end of September. Both countries agreed to cooperate on energy, infrastructure, mining, health, and also tourism amidst ongoing efforts to end decades of conflict in eastern DRC, where M23 rebels supported by Rwandan troops have seized key cities this year. While international observers welcome the deal as progress, analysts remain cautious, noting that militia still control much of the region and the peace remains very fragile. Now, PricewaterhouseCoopers has cautioned the federal government against implementing an immediate ban on solar panel imports, warning that it could disrupt Nigeria's energy access gains and also dampen investor confidence in the renewable energy sector. While the government's push for local manufacturing and industrialization is commendable, PwC recommends a measured and phased approach to avoid unintended consequences. The government had proposed the ban to localize production, conserve foreign exchange, and create jobs. However, PwC notes that Nigeria's current infrastructure limitations and lack of skilled workforce could pose challenges to local manufacturing. A phased implementation and supportive measures could help ensure a smooth transition and achieve the government's renewable energy goals. Sports now. The 2025 Giants of Africa Festival came to a spectacular end in Kigali, Rwanda, as the week-long Youth Basketball Championship wrapped up with a vibrant closing ceremony. The grand finale featured a thrilling all-star game and an awards presentation that highlighted outstanding performances throughout the tournament. NBA title-winning stars were on hand to inspire the next generation as the event celebrated the unity, talent, and promise of African basketball. The ceremony underscored Giants of Africa's continued commitment to youth development and sports excellence across the continent. And Nigeria's the Tigers are through to their 5th consecutive FIBA Women's Afro Basketball Final after a thrilling 75-68 win over Senegal in Friday's semi-final in Kigali. The defending champions came out strong, winning the first quarter 22-17 and maintaining momentum in the second with a narrow 21-20 edge. However, Senegal roared back in the third quarter, outscoring Nigeria 21-9 to take the lead going into the final stretch. But the Tigers showed their class and resilience when it mattered most, dominating the fourth quarter 23-10 to seal the victory. They face the winner of the Mali versus South Sudan in the finals next. And that's all this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives suspends 7-day nationwide warning strike. And NFSS urges FG to prioritize forests in security strategy. And we also told you that Senegal beefs up security near Mali border. Now do remember that you can send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on your screens now. And do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times 274, Avo TV, and of course on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. My name is Mazino Appeal.